What is going on YouTube? My name is Nevin the Barber, and in today's YouTube tutorial we're going to be covering a mid to high fade right here. It could be a high fade or a mid fade with no hooks. So to get right into this video, I'll be using my Gamma hitters to carve in my first bald line in this haircut. And these trimmers right here are zero gapped, so they are cutting the hair all the way down to the skin. And I do highly recommend that you guys zero gap your trimmers and your clippers if you haven't already, just because it's going to make the job a lot easier when it comes down to knocking out your bald line in the fade and getting a crispier edge up. So whenever you guys start your fade, you want to make sure that you get it nice and clean and as consistent as possible on both sides. That way you guys have a nice consistent blend all the way through. And for this next step, I have my Gamma Ergos with the lever all the way open, and we're going to take it up about an inch above our skin line. So with the lever all the way open, this is cutting the hair at a 0.5 length right now. And same thing with this guideline, you guys want to make sure that it's very symmetrical, just as your trimmer line was. We'll begin blending it out, doing some lever play. And with lever play, you guys just want to shorten your cutting stroke as you guys close that lever. And little by little, you guys will start to see that bottom line start to fade away. And like I said, if your clippers are zero gapped, this will make this part of the fade 100 times easier. So I do highly recommend you guys gap your clippers. And you guys can see that that bottom line is already starting to fade away. So now that we have that bottom line blended out, we'll begin doing the same thing on the other side. So again, bringing it up about an inch above our skin line. You guys always want to make sure to brush the scalp with the fade brush after every few strokes, just to knock off all the hairs that may get stuck to the scalp whenever you're fading. And so right here, I'm going all the way to the top of that guideline since we're barely starting to close that lever. But like I said, as you guys start closing the lever, and once you get all the way closed, you do want to make sure to shorten that cutting stroke. Otherwise, it will defeat the purpose of going in with that first guideline with the lever all the way open. And now that we have that bottom section blended out from our skin to the 0.5, we can get into our next guideline with the number 1 guard all the way open. And same thing, we're going to take it up about another inch above our previous section. And every time you guys fade the hair, always remember that the fade happens from the skin to the 1.5. So you want to make sure you get a nice clean transition from the 0 to the 1.5. And after that, you have your fade complete. So once you get that blended out, you can just begin blending into the bulk of the hair. So now that we can establish our number 1 guard guideline, we're going to get straight into blending into the bulk of the hair. So now I have my number 4 guard, and I'm flicking up all the way to the top of the parietal ridge. And with the bigger guards, with the number 4, 3, and the 2, I just go lever open and then lever closed. I don't really do a lot of lever play with the bigger guards. But right now we're just focused on blending the number 1 guard open into the bulk of the hair. That way we can just come back and clean up the bottom of our fade since we'll have a clean foundation for it. So with my 1.5 guard all the way open, I'm just flicking up at that 1.5 guideline just so we could blend our fade into the bulk of the hair. And now that that is complete, we just have one final step, and we're gonna finish up this blend today with the half guard all the way open. So this is cutting the hair at a short number 1 guard length. And you guys can see that I'm just attacking that last guideline to blend our 0.5 into the 1.5. And after we finish our step with the half guard, our fade will pretty much be complete. We're just gonna have to go back and detail the rest of the fade like always. And same thing on the other side. You guys can see that I'm just going in, corner cutting out those dark areas that I see in the top of the blend. you guys can see that the blend is starting to come together, and we're getting a nice clean transition all the way through. And the whole goal whenever fading hair is to get a nice clean blurry transition, so that's what you guys want to try and focus on achieving. And now to get into the lineup, I will begin using my gamma hitters again. And for the lineup, it's very important that you guys keep it as natural as possible. You guys can see I'm just tapping at his natural hairline. And it's very important that you guys do this because, well, for one, nobody likes a pushback hairline. And two, the more natural you keep the hairline, the longer the haircut's gonna last. You wanna make sure it pops out, but at the same time, you wanna keep it at that natural hairline. And just tap the skin very lightly with the trimmers. It is metal versus skin, so there's no need to tap and go in hard on the skin. And right here, I'm just doing some thinning shear over comb just to lighten up those dark areas within the 1.5 to the bulk of my client's hair. And I always use my thinning shears on every haircut just because it does polish the blend up and give it a more blurry effect. So if you guys want to get that picture perfect look on your haircuts, I would definitely recommend trying this technique on your fades. A lot of barbers do underestimate shears and what they can do for you in your haircuts. So I'll always recommend to do some thinning shear over comb whenever you guys are blending out the top of that fade into the bulk of the hair. And now for the fun part in the haircut, we'll begin taking off all of the bulk. And I do leave the bulk to take off at the end of the fade just because you won't find yourself struggling in the middle of the haircut to knock out that skin line. Since we already have our blend complete, we can just go down and take off the bulk and then go over it with the shaver. So if you guys haven't tried fading like this, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if it helps any of you guys out. And one more time, these are the gamma trimmers. So if you guys would like to purchase, you can get a discount with my code Nevin10. I will be leaving their website in the description. But you guys can see that this blend is starting to come together. Now that we have all the bulk off, you guys can see the fade and the contrast from the skin fade to the bulk of my client's hair. You guys can see that I went over with the Gamma Uno shaver just to get it all the way down to the skin. And it's always important that after you guys use the skin shaver that you go back with your trimmers just to flick out that bottom skin line if there was any created with that shaver. But like I said, for the most part, you guys won't find yourself struggling in the middle of the cut when using this fading technique, just because it's super simple to get your blend in while keeping the rest of the bulk in the bottom of the cut, and then you guys can just come back and take off the bulk in the end. And of course, just hitting my client's hairline with the razor to give it that extra pop. And anytime you guys use the razor, you always want to apply constant tension on the skin while keeping the blade at a 30-degree angle. And to finish up this cut today, my client did want a short trim on top. So I'll just begin by saturating the top of my client's hair. And I am doing some horizontal subsections, just using a traveling guideline to the back. So it's very important that you guys use a traveling guideline whenever trimming the top, just to get it all the way to a nice even length all the way through. And that is about it for today's haircut tutorial. I appreciate any of you guys who watched the whole thing. And with that being said, my name is Nevin the Barber. I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I'm out. I'll see you guys in the next one.